Now, how many of you actually have back offices or work in back offices or have any optimization tools already? If we just have a show of hands of interest in back office in this room. Why so little interest is what I want to know. Because just about every industry and every sector and every company within those sectors has some sort of a back office. And one of the key challenges around back office is actually how do we define it and what is it? Now, I would call it just it's the mess. It's where everything gets dumped that nobody else wants to deal with. It's the complex piece. And I think over time it's been very much neglected, largely because everyone's had these great ideas that we will automate it and get rid of it and it will disappear. And when that didn't work, we then said, well, we'll outsource it and get rid of it. And of course, that doesn't make it disappear either. That just creates a different problem of its own and moves it to another country in a language that you don't really understand. So actually, we're actually making the problem a whole lot worse. And despite all of the investment that's been made in trying to improve the back office, it remains largely a people-centred operation with lots of complexity in there. And I'll come on to that point shortly. But I think the very key point that I would want you to take away from here is that actually the back office affects every aspect of your service delivery. And if you don't have it right, it doesn't matter how good your customer service policy, ethic, practice, whatever it is that you've implemented with your agents in the front office. All they are is a window to the world. And if you open that window and there's a mess behind, your service is very much affected. The one thing that is definite about back office is it's about service delivery. We need to improve it. It needs to be world class. In the same way that manufacturing has had to become world class, so does back office processing. And so we talked about the back office problem, and I said I'd come back to it and talk about the complexity. What causes that complexity? A range of things that I've listed here, really. So, the first one is many sources of work that arrive in all sorts of different ways. So in the contact centre, a call centre side anyway, pretty much it's calls, it's telephone calls, and they come in and we know how to process them and we expect them, they arrive in the way that they do. In the back office, that work can arrive from many different ways. It can still be telephone, so there's a handoff from the call centre that can't deal with them. White mail, still lots of that we see, but it could be images from a BPM or a workflow system, imaging system. It can be emails. The biggest interruption that we see in back office is, thank you very much, Microsoft, the inbox. And that is very uncontrolled in most organisations. Now, approximately 20% of back office work is what we call short cycle, one and done tasks that happen quickly. 80% of it is this stuff that can happen over many days, weeks and months, aka the mortgage process. And what happens in those multi-stages is a lot of stopping and starting. There isn't anything that pushes it through. And a lot of organisations attempted to put business process management or workflow systems in to solve this problem, but only got halfway or a partial way with the implementation, finding it costly to install, users rejecting it, or the business process has changed and we've just BPM'd it and now we've got to go back and do it again. And so the cost benefits of rolling that out started to erode over time. So we're left then with yet another source of business. And again, this process, multi-stage stuff, uncontrolled. I think it becomes really evident that what is needed in the back office is a way to harness both the work in terms of the cases through the processes, but also the people, and how do we pull those two together and harmonise them, optimise them to get the best result. And what I'm showing you here is the technology adoption life cycle. So it pretty much follows how markets go. And really what you would see from a workforce management point of view is that most organisations have got something. They'll probably be looking at replacing it, but they've got lots of choice. They've also got lots of expertise within their business of how to put those products in and how to optimise the resources using them, because there's an industry that actually exists. There isn't currently that same industry with back office optimisation. It's new and emerging, as I've mentioned, and what it needs is specialist advice in order to know how to put it in to the best ability. And in these circumstances, organisations that are interested in optimising their back office, they need greater help, and they're much more over this sort of early adopter side. And what they're looking for is, educate us, tell us what this back office thing is and how it can benefit us. And actually, we've heard about this from over there, and we might like to do that. What's the strengths and weaknesses of doing either of these? It's very much a consultative sales process that's required to actually sell it, not your traditional, well, we'll turn up and you can compare us with someone else and away you go and buy it. And what customers in this early stage tend to be is very focused on the outcome of putting the solution in, not necessarily on the solution itself, because there isn't a great deal of choice in the market. And so specialists are very much needed. Professional services is a bigger requirement than in your traditional now workforce optimisation project. And this really is the USP, if you like, that comes from the EG and the Aspect partnership. And what we have pulled together is what we call a total solution. And we do have the most complete purpose-built back office optimisation suite. This has been, it's a quote from an analyst actually, who's actually looked at it and said, wow, this has got absolutely everything in it that you could possibly want out of the box. What we have is an application that will do everything that you could possibly want in a back office, developed over these years of experience that we have of working in it. And that works out of the box, so you haven't got to worry about it. It's 20% the software, it's 80% what you do with that software. And what we have is, to go with that market-leading software, market-leading professional services, a managed service offering, which will help you to put that software in and deliver guaranteed return on investment or assured return on investment. And I haven't got a lot of time to go into this, but I just wanted to talk to you about the implementation methodology part and how the software functionality actually supports that. So the best practice techniques are the things from industry that will make a real difference in the back office and in the service sector. In the middle column, this is showing you the software functionality that actually exists within our product to support that best practice technique. So let's automate that and give you the information that's available in the tools. And then what do we actually do with that information when we've got it? This is what we call the 7-step process for managing, and it's stuff that is taught to managers and team leaders in how to use that software to deliver the guaranteed result. And you'll see there's a green blob in the middle, because what we're not trying to do here is automate the team manager and eliminate their role altogether. We're actually trying to enable their role to be more proactive so that they can adopt a fact-based management style rather than sitting behind their piles of files and worrying about the stress of all of the work that's got to be done. Let's get all of that away and get them out there with their teams, coach, challenge and team lead, and deliver a better result. What the product actually does, and this is the cornerstone of the solution, it puts the ACD in the back office. It's exactly the same thing. Capture all of those sources of work wherever they come from using some simple integration tools, and then from there we can flow through with capacity planning, skills-based work allocation, performance monitoring and automatic real-time MI without having to do any extra work to get it. But I think just in closing, the key thing really, I think, about back office optimization is not to just think of it as a piece of software that you're going to deploy and get the same result as you've had in the front office. There is more to do. It's a very immature environment. It's not used to being measured. It's not used to being managed in the way that the front office is. So we've got to nurse them through that and help them to evolve and get to where the front office is today. So we believe that it is a story of two halves, with the software implementation being obviously a very important cornerstone to give us that ability to control and measure the environment, but services to support that, to help train the people, to deliver the benefits, to get used to using the software, to change their management practices, and that will deliver them this assured return on investment that we have a really good track record of delivering. And so I think really essentially that summarises what I've just said. It's all about improving work, people and processes, and it's about getting a range of benefits. We're often measured on the cost return on investment, But we very much believe in making sure that the service and the quality and the team skills are improved. They are the areas that deliver the capacity saving that enable businesses to take those costs. And how things have evolved is that we're now working with contact centres to blend back office work into the front office, using up the white space in the schedules that happen in contact centres naturally. Let's use that to get back office work migrated back in there so they can do one and done tasks and improve service for their customer. But also the reverse is true. So when we have an overflow of calls, we can use the back office too. And the concept of blending front and back, supporting the unified customer experience that I talked about earlier, is very much, I think, the order of the day.